Shakuni looked at the newborn Duryodhana and thought, in our kingdom, under our rule, we have tormented and oppressed the people. Now Bhishma comes from somewhere and imprisoned all the male heirs of our family, thrown them into a well and starved them to death. Isn't that cruelty? If what we have done is considered adharma, unjust, what about what Bhishma has done for us? If we are called savages, what should Bhishma be called? If our family was brutally killed for oppressing the people, what punishment should Bhishma receive for killing us? How should he be punished? When will the opportunity arise? As Shakuni awaited this moment, he realized that the chance to take revenge on Bhishma had come in the form of Duryodhana. After Duryodhana was born, significant incidents took place in the kingdom. The royal astrologers all gathered near Dhritarashtra and said, the cause of the present calamities in the kingdom is Duryodhana. He was born during an unlucky star. Wherever he goes, no one finds happiness. Because of him, there is a chance that this dynasty, this kingdom will fall. Therefore, he must not be allowed to live. On hearing this, Dhritarashtra was filled with anger. After all these years of longing for children, Duryodhana is the firstborn we have been blessed with. We love him dearly, with all our hearts. Under no circumstances will Duryodhana be taken from us. He will grow up with us and become the king of the Kuru dynasty, he declared, and stormed off. That day, Gandhari sat alone and wept. All this has happened because in a moment of anger, I struck my womb and forced it to give birth prematurely. This act brought my child into the world at an inauspicious time. She wept bitterly, blaming herself for Duryodhana's fate. A few days after Duryodhana was born from the pot, the remaining 100 pots broke and 100 Kaurava princes were born, along with a daughter named Dushala. So Duryodhana, Dushala, and the 99 Kauravas, 101 children in all, were born to Gandhari. Dhritarashtra then ordered a message to be sent to King Pandu, announcing the birth of 100 sons. As soon as Pandu heard this news, he was seized with fear. I have only one son, Yudhishthira, but my brother now has 100 sons, he thought. In the future, Yudhishthira alone will not be able to face them all. I need a son who can stand up to these 100 Kauravas, he realized. Pandu immediately went to Kunti and explained the situation. He told her that they needed a son strong enough to face the 100 Kauravas. When they thought of summoning such a powerful god, only one came to mind. Vayu, the god of wind. After all, in all three worlds there is nothing stronger than the wind. Kunti recited her mantra and called upon Vayu. Immediately, a great wind swept through the area, forming a whirlwind around her. The whirlwind lifted her into the air and carried her high into the sky. It took her beyond the clouds to the edge of the sky. Looking down from the sky, Kunti realized for the first time that the earth was not flat but round. Thousands of years before modern times, the Mahabharata had declared that the earth was round. The whirlwind brought Kunti back to earth and left her there gently. When she looked into her hands, there was a baby, a strong, powerful and robust infant. The baby was so heavy that she could not hold it, and it slipped from her hands and fell to the ground. Alarmed, she thought something had happened to the child. But to her surprise, the baby was smiling, unharmed, while the rock he had fallen on was shattered. Pandu was amazed at his son's strength. They called the child Bhima. Then another thought occurred to Pandu. I already have a son, Yudhishthira, who embodies dharma, righteousness. And now I have Bhima, a son of immense strength who can face 100 opponents. But if righteousness and strength were combined in one person, that person would be the greatest of all heroes. I need such a son, he thought. So he asked Kunti to ask Indra, the king of the gods, for his next child. Kunti recited the mantra and called upon Indra. Suddenly the whole environment lit up with brightness and joy. It was as if something miraculous was about to happen, and the trees, hills, birds and animals all around looked eagerly at Kunti as if waiting to witness the miracle. A baby boy appeared in her hands. As Pandu looked at the baby's face, he saw an unknown intensity in the child's eyes. He turned to Kunti and said, "This child will grow up to be a hero like no other in history, one who will never be seen again in the future." They called the child Arjuna. Pandu's happiness knew no bounds. "I now have sons whose strength is equal to that of the gods," he would say as he spent his days with his children in the forest. Friends, do you think that reading an extraordinary story can make someone forget the troubles of their own life? Do you think that just reading this story to your children will teach them all the values they need in life? Do you believe that no matter what problems you're facing now, or what problems you may face in the future, a solution can be found by reading just one story? Yes, it's possible. And only with the greatest epic ever told in the history of mankind, the Mahabharata. This story is 100 times bigger than any blockbuster film you've ever seen. It's a challenge. The complete story of the Mahabharata, as written in the words of Vikram Aditya, is available in 2 parts, both in book and ebook format, on Amazon and 43 other online stores. This book is available in 54 languages worldwide. The links are given in the description below this video. Order now. Because it's not just a book, it's a library of wisdom for your life. Pandu, Kunti, Yudhishthira, Bhima and Arjuna were all happy, except for one person, Pandu's second wife, Madri. Pandu realized that Madri was sad because she had no children. Understanding her pain, he asked Kunti to share one of her mantras with Madri so that she too could have children. Kunti agreed and gave the mantra to Madri. Madri recited the mantra and summoned the Ashwini twins, the twin celestial gods. She did this because she wanted at least 2 children, as her co-wife Kunti already had 3. Madri gave birth to twin sons named Nakula and Sahadeva. 15 years passed. Yudhishthira, Bhima and Arjuna grew up in the forest, learning various skills from the tribesmen who lived there. Meanwhile, Nakula and Sahadeva spent most of their time playing and being looked after by their mothers. Life seemed peaceful and joyful for all. However, nobody is spared by fate. One morning, Pandu went to the river bank to do his penance. There he happened to see his second wife, Madri, bathing in the river, partially clothed. After 15 years of celibacy, Pandu lost control when he saw her wet in her clothes. Overwhelmed with desire, he asked Madri to satisfy his physical longing. Madri, alarmed, reminded him, "My lord, you are cursed. Have you forgotten? The day you unite physically with a woman, you will die." Pandu, blinded by his desire, replied, "I don't care. Today my wish must be fulfilled." And he forced himself on her, despite her attempts to stop him. In the evening, Kunti returned home with her children. She saw Pandu lying on the ground, hovering between life and death. Madri sat beside him, sobbing uncontrollably. Kunti understood immediately what had happened, but there was nothing she could do but feel the weight of grief at what had happened. At that moment, Pandu called his sons close to him and said, "My body was brought to life by Vyasa. I have the knowledge and powers of Vyasa. When I die, you 5 must take a small piece of my flesh and eat it. This will give you new powers." Yudhishthira, Bhima and Arjuna, horrified by this request, began to weep and left the hermitage, refusing to carry out their father's last wish. Meanwhile, some ants began to crawl over Pandu's legs and bite into his flesh. As they ate small pieces of his body, Nakula and Sahadeva, who had stayed behind, each took an ant, put it in their mouth and swallowed it. Immediately their eyes widened and they were overwhelmed by intense visions. They could no longer see the present world, but heard loud noises, shouts, explosions, galloping horses, clashing swords. Before their eyes, a massive battle scene was unfolding, the Battle of Kurukshetra. They saw the reasons for the war, the stories behind it, and the whole future laid out before them. Shaken and frightened, they began to tremble. Full of fear, they rushed outside to tell their elder brothers about the vision, hoping to stop the war. As they ran out of the hermitage, they saw an elderly Brahmin standing at the entrance. The Brahmin had a radiant presence. "Stop! Where are you going in such a hurry?" the Brahmin asked. Nakula and Sahadeva replied, "A great war called Kurukshetra is coming. We are going to tell our brothers about it and try to stop it before it's too late." The Brahmin smiled and said, "You intend to inform your brothers, but first you must understand that you are making a mistake. I will prove to you that what you think is wrong, and when I do, you must listen to me. If I fail to convince you, then you may do as you wish." Nakula and Sahadeva, though skeptical, agreed to his challenge. Then the Brahmin asked Nakula and Sahadeva, "What do you know?" "We know what will happen in the future," they replied. "And what will happen if you tell this to your brothers?" asked the Brahmin. "If we tell them, the events of the future may be stopped," they said. The Brahmin smiled and said, "So you believe that by telling what will happen, you can prevent it from happening. But how can you explain to your brothers that stopping what is going to happen won't cause something worse? In fact, by trying to prevent it, something even more dangerous might happen." Nakula and Sahadeva, now confused, began to realize that they were about to commit an act of adharma, injustice. They understood that what they were about to do might be wrong. At this point, the Brahmin added, "If you knew who I really am, you would be shocked." Friends, the content in the next episode will take things to a whole new level. Don't miss it. Let's meet again next Saturday at the same time. In the meantime, order the Mahabharata book I've written. It's available now. You'll find the links in the description below this video. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so immediately. Until then, take care. Bye.